Much. Peace is something that everyone would like to really have, and because when there is peace, you have the opportunity to benefit from a lot of things in a country, and you might have access to really get to school. You might have access to better infrastructural development. Above all, actually, you also have employment and be in a position to express yourself, particularly, and participate in a lot of things in the political, social, and economic spheres in life. So peace is very important for me. And peace is not just like the absence of the gun sound that we would say we are peaceful. So peace for me goes beyond that perspective of the gun. It goes to having access to all the basic needs that a man or a person might need to survive in this world. So that is actually for me how I define peace. So sometimes we can stay, we don't hear the gun, but there are still other violence. There's still other difficult moments that we experience every day in our lives. So then it doesn't have to be peace. If you don't have food even to eat in the house, then you're not peaceful because you're in conflicts with your mind. You're in conflicts with your thoughts like, okay, now I don't have food. How am I going to survive this?
Yeah.
You want to go somewhere, you want to get to school, maybe you want to access hospitals and medications among others. You don't have the capital, the money to do that. So then how do you say you are at peace with yourself? So yeah, like this is like the concept to me of peace. So for me to see peace, I would really be happy to see that we have access to all the basic needs, from the social to political to economic spheres, that people are able to express themselves. They're able to attain whatever they want to make sure they have a peaceful society and a peaceful livings. Like I should be able to move from one point to another without being obstructed on the way. I should be in position to speak out and being oppressed. I should be in position actually to just sleep outside my compound, for example, and nobody comes in to interrupt me.
Yeah.
So that's like how I feel peace is to be. Yes.
I think it's really interesting because the point you made earlier about, it's not about just whether the guns are firing or not, but it's this sort of everyday sense of peace, right? That we feel it in our lives, we're able to live our lives in a way that is not only free, but then also enriching, rewarding, right? We get to be who we are, which I think is really important.
Yes, exactly. So but if you don't actually have the space and the opportunity to express yourself, I mean to live the way you want to live. It's like you're in prison. So if you're in prison, definitely you cannot do anything. Most of the things that you want, it's like you're being restricted, confined in just a particular area or space. So maybe this room, you can't go beyond it. So then that is not actually peace. Yeah.
So how did you then combine your music and your talents with this passion you have for peace building? When did that come together for you?
Inspired by, first of all, my late mother, who introduced me into singing, and I've been so closely to the church and learned a couple of instruments, like not so much, but I can play the African instrument adungu. And then lately, in 2008, I learned to play the keyboard or the piano, and then it became like one of my most liked instrument when it comes to music. It helps me a lot in my composition. So now I am with the point that we go to schools, to universities, and among others, we can have masters and PhDs in different fields. But there are so many things that are not being taught at institutions of learning. We only get them through music. Like for instance, you would see a lot of things happening, violence and a lot of stuff, and they don't teach you a lot of those things in school. But what happens is you learn them every day in your community with your people happening as you live. So for me, that becomes an angle that I want to use music as a medium, a platform to be able to bring out the daily lived realities of people on what they experience from time to time. Now, for example, I write songs. I talk about equal opportunity, a song that's trying to advocate for social justice, but the inclusion of different different people in the development of our respective communities. This does not come anyhow somewhere. You talk about peace in terms of the music. Nobody wants to talk about this. Of lately now, we begin to see the component of peace becoming an interest interesting point of education right now. But me whose grandparents were born in the war, the parents were born in the war, they died all in the war, and now I am here with my generations. If soon, and you find that we'll also struggle to live in a war. So for me, I see that is not something we want to see. So I feel when using music as an art to bring out these realities every day, talk about really how the society is supposed to be governed, how we are supposed to see each other as human beings. It is something that I want to see. So now I use music in this case to pass messages like that. Like in South Sudan, just back in 2013-16, when the conflicts actually erupted, I see a lot of suffering. It just came literally 2 years after gaining independence. It becomes very challenging for us as South Sudanese. Then I looked at the suffering of people who are crying, they're running into the camps. So we put out a song titled Arakat Karab. It's like our actions are really have really worsened, our situation have worsened. Whatever we do does not really amount to a good society because people are dying, they're running, are crying. Where is the freedom that we got? So now this become part of my life. So I feel like integrating this is a better way. So music has a way of communicating directly with the people. So it's how you listen to a song and then you feel, wow, I think this song has a lot of, it nourishes myself a lot. Like you cannot spend a day without listening to a song. I don't know, but this is how I am.
Absolutely not.
Yeah, and music helps us a lot in terms of healing, in terms of advocacy, in terms of even love. There are so many people who use music to express themselves and to pass out the messages they want to see. So in this aspect, I've been using music as a tool to mobilize a large number of communities. I've had the music for peace festivals that actually do back home in South Sudan and in the refugee settlement that brings about 5,000 people plus to come to listen to this. And now we work with different artists, also groups, to be part of these events. And it's so unique and it's really nice and encouraging.
No, absolutely. I mean, you're, I suppose, preaching to the choir here, right? Because you're also a firm believer like that music and peace, right, you walk hand in hand, not only at an individual level, but then also it can have this massive effect on people as well. So let's play Arakat Karabu, and the world can enjoy it, or at least the people that are listening can enjoy it again. Okay, so this is Arakat Karabu by Samse Sam. Perfect. Okay, let's see. Okay, that was Samse Sam with Arakat Karabu. Thanks for letting us play that one.
Oh, welcome.
So we'll play some. We're going to play Equal Opportunity here in a little bit. I wondered if you could just say just one or two things about what your sort of your future vision is for South Sudan, right? So, very briefly, right, what's the best future in the next few years for the country?
Well, thank you. I envision a South Sudan where all of us are able to live in without conflicts, without discrimination, and of course, while benefiting from all the services that citizens are supposed to get from their country. So I envision that we have a good leadership structure that is able to listen to the needs of the people and are able to offer services so that then we can be able at least to heal from the long history of violence, and then we can have a place to call home. Yeah.
Okay. Beautiful. Love it.
Thank you.
Okay, so we're going to play Equal Opportunity here in a little while. But next I've got up for you is Glass Animals with a remix of their song A Tear in Space. So enjoy this one, and following that will be The Fall by Murder Capital. Enjoy. track from them. I've got a couple of more tracks coming up for you here. Maybe just one more, and then we'll take a break for some messages from the station. Again, you're listening to The Atlantic Show. I'm really excited to have Samse here with me still. Are you enjoying yourself?
Yeah, it's fun. It's nice, yeah.
Good.
Some cool songs.
Yeah, it's some good stuff. You know, so people who are listening have heard this spiel before, but I started doing the radio show here a couple of years ago, actually, at the last university I was at. And I've just been trying to, put a show together that brings music from all sides of the Atlantic, so stuff from England and from America, but then from different parts of the continent of Africa, and every now and then I try to squeeze in something from Central and South America as well, but I'm less familiar with those artists. So that's, again, a bit of a reminder of what we try to do here on the show. The next track actually has a bit of an odd story behind it. You might have heard this one before. It's the Infield Boys with I Don't Want to Lose Your Love Tonight. So Karen, my wife, and I, we went down to the Arts District downtown, and we did a couple's painting night, right?
Oh, wow.
So you went, and there's an instructor, and they sort of walk you through the steps of painting a painting, right? So they have an example of it up on the wall, and they say, okay, we're going to walk you through one step at a time, this color first and this, right? And so we walked away with these two paintings of these two elephants that are kind of tusk or like nose trunk to trunk with each other, with different like beautiful shades of like kind of green and pink and whatnot. So I love painting, right?
That's really nice.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, I tried to do some fine arts when I was in my high school, but I couldn't really get it so much, so I got it late anyway. But it's really nice. I like people who paint, so it's an amazing talent.
It is, and I'm not that good at it. I did it in school as well and really enjoyed it, but it was one of those things that I never really developed or picked back up. So I love going to like art galleries and like see beautiful painting, and like I like getting up there and seeing the details of the brushstroke, but then also stepping back.
Well, I must say it's a good thing to do all the time, because we have got some of my friends that are able to do murals, and this is also another way of trying to really portray things out, because again, like I say, the arts is so unique, and it's a medium to pass in a lot of things, to pour out our hearts. And sometimes people can draw something, you paint a particular mural that depicts a story of your life, and it's nice. I just like how you both work it out.
Yeah. Well, I think murals are a really powerful tool for peace as well. There are a lot of parts of the world where murals work as this kind of storytelling tool to kind of tell different sides of a conflict, but then also to advocate for peace. There's a lot of those in even here in the US as well. You go to parts of the country that are sort of hubs for the civil rights movement, and even sort of locally based artists are able to express different things. I went to Niagara Falls last year, and they have some beautiful murals downtown. And one of the unique things about Niagara Falls, as well as the waterfall and being close to Canada, et cetera, is that it was a big hub or a big spot on the Underground Railroad. So people escaping slavery in the South, trying to flee north to get to Canada, and they have an underground. They call it the Underground Railroad, and they have an Underground Railroad museum for sort of slave journeys of escape. And so they have a lot of murals in the city of Niagara that depict and sort of show these different aspects of this journey, but then also the successes of the trials and struggles of the civil rights movement. So painting is beautiful.
It's just beautiful, and it is like a non-violent approach to advocacy, to activism. I think is really powerful. Because it doesn't have to, but the power is mobilizing people to listen to. And for me, it's good for also memorialization perspective of it, because people need to know what happened in the past, and if we were to preserve and we are to have a peaceful societies, we need to educate them. They need to see some of these things. And once not everybody is able to read and write, so through these paintings, these murals, among others, or through songs, through any other thing, photography and a lot of stuff, or documentary films, so people get to learn some of the things they see. This was how things has been happening previously. So then it sends them a signal that, for such a thing not to happen, you need to start preparing. Maybe try to recorrect some of the things that we have done in the past, and then have a society that is inclusive for all people to live in, right? So I really like the arts a lot in this kind of an angle as a tool for activism.
Absolutely. Well, that peace-filled tangent notwithstanding, we're going to sort of bring the tone back down a bit with I Don't Want to Lose Your Love Tonight by the Infield Boys, again inspired by our couples night out painting. Here it goes. Okay, some brief messages there. You're listening to The Atlantic Show here on WHRW 90.5 FM Binghamton. My name's Chris Davey, and I still have Samse Sam here with me. Hello.
Hi. I just like the song. I don't want to lose your life tonight. Tonight. It reminds me of my childhood when I was growing up. Still, way back in South Sudan, I think we have one of these radios, Liberty FM, that we used to follow among others. And this is like one of the most songs that is being played those days.
Oh, really? So that's cool.
It's just
fantastic.
nice.
All right, that's brilliant. Okay, so the next one here is a Goo Goo Dolls song, sort of a 1990s band. This is a live version of their track Name, which is probably one of my favorite of theirs. It's just beautiful, and this live version is just wonderful. So we'll play this one next, and then we'll be back with some more here in a bit. Enjoy. Opportunity. The next two are a bit more on the sort of the heavier, I don't know, psychedelic, post something or other side. So the first one's Megawatt by Ista, and then a band that I love playing on the show, Mogwai, our Glasgow band who love dabbling in those beautiful soundscapes. So this the Mogwai track is Fanzine Made of Flesh from their new album, The Bad Fire. So we'll run these two for you. So it's Megawatt and then Fanzine Made of Flesh. Oh, there's too many F's in there for me to get that straight. Okay, and then we'll be right back with more from Samse. Okay, that was Mogwai with Fanzine Made of Flesh from their new album, The Bad Fire, and then prior to that was, I don't know if it's Ista or ISTA with one of the newer tracks, Megawatt, which was a powerful one as well. Okay, so Samse's still here with me. Hello.
Hi.
We're going to play Equal Opportunity, which we played before on the show, and you mentioned this song earlier. Do you want to tell us specifically what the message is here with this track?
Yeah, for real. Some inspiration behind the song is the exclusion of young people, women, and other marginalized persons, also persons with disability, among others, in the development process of communities. So this is not a song that is specifically to South Sudan, but it's a song that is out there to the world. And looking at, there's so many people that would really want to be part of the process, in the governance, to the social, to the economic spheres of life. But again, they are disadvantaged probably because of their situations they found themselves in. Sometimes it's uncontrollable where they are. And this song particularly looks at empowering the young people, giving them the chance to take part in the leadership of a society. And because they are the future of a particular country. So if we want to set a better future for the young people, So we begin to prepare them now. One thing that got me sick every day is the idea of saying, you youth are the future leaders, or you are the leaders of tomorrow. And this tomorrow never comes. So tomorrow comes, they say, no, you are the next. So it continues, the cycle runs on forever and ever. So you don't find the space. And it's quite awful that sometimes some political leaders would say, if you want these seats, then you better stand up to compete with us. So then we leave. You can't just stand up and leave you the seats. You are supposed to compete with us. So then that becomes the challenge. So for me, it tries to instill the culture of staying in power for so long, which in the end you lose relevance as a leader. And then once you lose relevance, then the people, the society can gang up against yourself, your leadership structure, and then you find a country plunging into war. And again, I'm looking at the component of women and young girls out there who had been neglected, ignored, and excluded either intentionally due to our cultural norms in our societies today, that women are not powerful, they're not part of the society, they don't have anything to put on table. Or the girls, like where I come from, they're not supposed to go to school because in the end they will get married. Once they're married, they go out to somebody's house. When you come to my house as my wife, your work is going to be just there doing some domestic work, so you cannot contribute to the development of the family. Then you're not given a space to take active role in leadership or governance of that family, of the society itself, of the country. Contrary to that, we've been trying to fight for this gender equality and equity to ensure that we have all the citizens of a country take part in the development programs of their nation, because through which we can be able to realize a better society. And I like using the example that if you give this one hand, it cannot produce a sound. So, but you put this, you hear a sound. So this means that we are supposed to work together. We're to build a society that is rooted in equality, and then rooted in the benefits of seeing each other as a partner to a development of our own welfare as individuals, but also as family, as a community, but as a country. Let's say as a continent as a whole, actually, even as the entire world. So equal opportunity is trying to say that there has been some notions that women in society, they are looked as goalkeepers, that for them they are always at the receiving end. So the way to be given something, then they take it. You don't give them, they don't do it. They are not so initiative at themselves that they can begin to build up things. Then that they can take it from there. So there's that perception that we feel as men in our societies today, that maybe previously, that it is our role only to be giving them, then they should just be able to receive, but which is not the case. It also talks about the disadvantages of war and the negative impacts that war has had on the lives of young people. Today we have many young people out there who lost their parents. We have got many that became foster parents, taking care of responsibilities of their younger ones. Now some of them are into the IDP settlements, some of them are in the refugee camps, some of them live with us presently in our families. So you find that they are not given the opportunity to be able to really benefit. So the song talks about giving them the chance, protect them, protect their rights, ensure that they have access to basic needs. They should be able to go to school. They should have good health facilities. They should be able also to have food itself, among other things that are required in society. But provide security, protect them, because they are going to be the next generation of leaders that we will benefit from as a country, as a continent, and even as a family. So the song is looking at that kind of a society that if we really work together, we can easily be able to grow. And then when we grow, we can have the peace that we want in our societies.
That's a really important reminder, because not to make everything about the US, right? But then the place we're in right now is a place where, you know, authority at large is rolling back some of these initiatives and structures and, you know, parts of organizations that are there to support equity, right, and to recognize the power of diversity, right? That value that we all have innately doesn't just sort of happen like into society, right? You know, you'll end up having women as goalkeepers, right? For example, in the way that you described very aptly.
Yes.
But you know, there needs to be this collaborative sense of working together to, you know, give and work together for opportunities for each other. You know, overcoming that inequality doesn't just happen on its own, right? And it isn't ever sort of solved or done with, right? It's an ongoing thing.
Yeah, just like to add on, you see, the reality being that most times we thought it is the men who hold arms and that fight for the freedom and liberation of their countries, but that's not the case. We had women heroes that are there, but they remain unsung heroes. And in this case, in our context, in Africa and in many other countries that are experiencing war right now, they say, women play a crucial role. Some of them are there in the front line, and sometimes they are put into the subordinate position, but still they are contributing to a success of a particular movement. So I feel those efforts need to be recognized. They're not supposed to go unremembered. So we need to really appreciate and celebrate every person for the roles that they've played in society. We have a nasty idea that some people would say we liberated this particular country, while you women are just seated, or why you people are not contributing to anything. That's not the truth. So what about the times they spent in the kitchen preparing for food for the particular people? Like my grandma, before she passed on, we used to have conversation with her, and she keeps telling me how my grandfather was one of the chiefs in the particular area in South Sudan. But during the liberation struggle, they could come, like the soldiers could come to his house because he's a chief. So in our context, you have in a particular village, there's a chief of that particular area, whom, when anything happens, like the leadership of the country or maybe the army could come to that house. They want to take a rest, and then they get goats, they get bulls are slaughtered. They cook for them in that particular time to make sure they have a decent meal as they continue with the fighting. They take water. So who does that kind of efforts? Majority is being done by the women, but also some of them are there as medical assistants or personnel during the war, supporting the livelihoods and the health of these soldiers that are fighting. Some of them held guns to fight, but we never get to talk about them. So we need to have a society. So the song Equal Opportunities talking about recognizing also the contributions of every person in the development of our country, be it from war to peace, and among other perspectives to economic and of course social and even the political leadership and the governance of a society today. So it is important that only by being able to recognize that we both can have a better world when we work together, then this is something I'm fighting on through my songs.
Absolutely. Yeah. I was reminded of, so Sam, you're in my climate and conflict class, and one of the things we talked about recently was the South Dakota, the access pipeline that goes through North South Dakota, and we're watching and reading about the water protectors, right? It's indigenous women that have taken a leading role in blocking heavy machinery from coming into their sacred land and destroying it and making way for this oil pipeline. And in fact, those protests and that movement is begun by women who lived in that area who were willing to and put their bodies on the line and sort of in the way of corporate government interests in extracting that oil from the ground, which that is just the example that came to mind, right? And it's so important that as we retell the story of the protests against the South Dakota Access Pipeline, that we start with these women water protectors who led the way and were there from the beginning to quote unquote the end of the encampment, that was there to protect the water rights. So there's a really interesting connection between people and land, and also feminism and sort of this idea of womanhood as actively taking that role to resist power. Let's play the song so we can have some time to play some other stuff as well. So right, this is Equal Opportunity by Samse Sam. You've heard the story. Here's the sound. Here we go. Post-humus album, Bloonerism. That was a $5 Pony Rides. Is a cracking track, that one. Next, I've got here for you a couple more, and then Samse, you've given us a request from Don Williams.
Yes.
We were talking about music that you like listening to while you're studying and revising, and this one came up.
Yeah, this song from Don Williams, like Senorita, is one of the beautiful songs that I really like.
Okay.
It's a country song, but it's really nice. I just like the guitars in it, and like the entire song, the rhythm of it is just it gives me the vibe, like the motivation to feel calm and and just do my stuff around.
Fantastic.
So it's an interesting song. Yeah.
So we're going to play Senorita, but first we're going to hear Alley Light by Squirrel Flower, another one of my favourites. We've played some of their other songs on the show here. So we'll have Squirrel Flower, and then following that, Senorita by Don Williams. Enjoy. I have a very vivid image of you studying to that song now. It's fantastic.
Yes.
Very good. I like that. It's a nice mellow vibe, and I try to sort of hit different kind of points of tone and tempo in the show, and so that brought us to a nice mellow point. That's fantastic. So I've got a couple others coming up for you here next. We're going to round off the last 20 minutes of the show here. I have to make some hard choices about what we play and what we don't play. There's a few other songs I have to save for the next time. So you're listening to us here on the Atlantic Show. I've got Samse here with me. The next song is 2003 club track, Love Story with Lalo and Bushwhacker. Love Story versus Finally. Here it comes. And then we've got Congolese artist Petit Noir after that with Blame Fire. Alright, here we go. Belgian-born Congolese musician and singer, was raised, spent early years in South Africa, but now based in Europe. That was Blame Fire from a few years ago now. Fantastic track. The next one I'm going to play for you is, I can't remember where I heard it, but I wanted to pull some stuff out the vinyl selection that we have here at WHRW. So this next one is The Doors with You Need Meat, Don't Go No Further, which I thought that that song title alone needed to be aired here on the radio. So we're going to roll that one for you, and then we'll be back with our last two from Lorcana and Fontaines DC, and we'll have a final word from Samse here as well. So this is The Doors. Buckle up. Weird scenes inside the gold mine, and again the track was called, if I can remember it now, yes, You Need Meat, Don't Go No Further, with some nice bluesy stuff in there. Okay, I've got two last songs here for you. We were just talking about this one. This is Lorcana with Yesterday. If you're not familiar with Lorcana as a British rapper, fantastic, right? And this song, like many others of his, speak to racial inequity and just being a witness and a recipient of that as a black man in the UK. So here he comes. This track is called Yesterday, and then we'll be back with our final goodbye and Fontaines DC. Don't go anywhere. Yesterday. So you've been listening to me, Chris, at the Atlantic Show on WHRW 90.5 FM Binghamton, and thank you again to Samse for joining me here today.
Well, thank you so much for hosting me. It's a pleasure coming in to talk about music, peace, and activism. Yeah, definitely. It's nice.
Thank you very much. So some of the things you said to me about, when people have come to you in the past and said about how we need to sort of make room for the rising generation so they can be the leaders of tomorrow. That was the phrase, right? And you're like, okay, well, we're here now, so what are you going to do for us today? Right? Which I thought was to me was really powerful.
Yeah, so there's nothing now for us like without us. You cannot be talking about like you are the leaders of tomorrow, and then you don't actually put in practice. So there's much to be done, like walking the talk, than just talking the talk itself. So sometimes that is something I disagree with that notion of you, the young people, or the leaders of tomorrow. Get us there. Let us begin to do the work practically now, so that by the time you're fading in, you're moving out, we are already there. We've taken these seats, and then you've seen how good probably we are, because you get the chance to be able to correct, to be able to mentor this generation that you see. But it looks so bad when you leave it and you're not there in a space. And then again, you begin to say, this is why we never wanted to give you the prison in the first place. So let us try to give youth the opportunities right now at hand, so that they are able to perform. They start performing their task. Then you become like a technical advisor, like to them, like, this thing you've done is okay, but I feel you'd have done it in this way, so that then there's a room for a better groomed society that can be able to deliver services to the best that we expected. The idea is, if you've not done something in your time, there has to be something unique that at least the youth can be able to do to actually cover up what has not been done. So for me, that's the point really that I just wanted really to make. There's power in that, and there's power in working together. There's power in empowering a generation. Yes.
Amen. Thank you.
Amen.
So this last song, Spontaneous DC, It's Amazing to Be Young, I thought went really well with your final message. And so this one goes out for you, Samse, and then for our colleagues who are peace builders who are ready today to be trained and mentored and to be doing the work. And I also want to put this out here for Mahmoud Khalil, who was the young student who was arrested outside of Colombia with his pregnant wife early this week by ICE. I say soldiers, right, because that's what it feels like they are now. So in my personal opinion, right, we're dedicating this to him and to others that are making a stand for injustice around the world. So it's amazing to be young. Youth is not wasted on the young, so let them live it and have that power. Okay, enough of that. Thanks for listening. This is the Atlantic Show. You know where to find episodes of the show if you want to hear more and listen back to today's program with Samse. So this is Spontaneous DC. A goodbye from us, and stay safe.